Creepercast, episode 17. You're listening to the Creepercast with Jeff and Jason, a podcast about horror and the horror genres. I'm Jason, and with me always... What's your name today?
Mr. Bigglesworth, you mentioned him.
Oh, yeah. It's because it's freaking freezing in here, Mr. Bigglesworth. Of course, the only place in the United States to get hit with snowstorm this weekend is the Pacific Northwest.
We actually have two movies to talk about this week.
Yes, we do.
One of which you told me that I was a very sick individual for picking.
You are a sick... How come every time that you pick a movie, it's one that makes me cringe and my wife hate me for the next hour?
Actually, the movie we're talking about is The Loved Ones from Australia. I very much did the same. We should probably jump right into that. I got a quick summary for everybody on The Loved Ones. This one was actually brought to my attention by another podcast. I want to say that it was Fear Shop.
Okay.
Who also does a horror podcast, brought this up. They also do a metal podcast, so the two kind of go together, and this movie kind of fits into that category as well. But in this one, like I said in my quick synopsis, was a crazy girl's obsession over a failed date in Australia's The Loved Ones. That's basically what this movie's about. This girl freaks out because this boy won't go to the prom with her.
Yeah. You want me to jump into the trailer?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
All right.
Will you go to the dance with me?
I'm going with Holly. Guess who asked me to the dance?
Tell me, who is she?
I'll never tell.
Love hurts.
Pretty as a picture.
Love scars. What are you looking at? Bring the hammer, Daddy.
This year's Queen of the Dance is Lola Stone.
There he is. It boils your brains and turns you into one of them.
Say happy.
Happy. Love her.
So, basically, it starts off with Brent, one of our main characters, who's driving down the road with his dad as a passenger, and out of nowhere, a man appears in the middle of the road. He swerves to miss the man and ends up, running into a tree and killing his dad. 6 months later, it's the end of the school year. They're going. There's a high school dance coming up, and this girl Lola asks him to the dance, but he's already got a girlfriend named Holly, so he turns Lola down. Later on, what is it? Is it later on that night? I think.
I'm not sure it's later on. Yeah, I'm gonna guess that it's pretty much later on that night.
Yeah,
and it's also an important character trait of Brent is after killing he didn't kill his father, but after his father died, he kind of regressed into this whole. He turned into a major stoner.
Yeah, he kind of went emo.
Yeah, and he started using metal music as an outlet and feeling less as a human being. I mean, yeah, like you said, emo.
Yeah, he went emo. And so he's out and he's getting stoned in his car one night, and he gets knocked out and wakes up at Lola's house. He's bound up at her house, bound to a chair. And Lola and her father, Lola, by the way, is completely obsessed with him. Has like a whole picture book thing going on. And I kind of get the weird feeling about what her father thinks of Lola, because he looks at her in a funny way in a few scenes. But anyway, so
yeah.
So they sit him down at the table, or they not sit him down, but they have him at the table, and there's this woman sitting there that when I first saw the movie, I'm like, is that her mom? And she's got this circle in the middle of her head, and I'm like, what the hell? Is that a cigarette burn? What is that? Anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. But they pull open. This is where it starts getting really weird. So they take out this this thing of bleach, fill a syringe, jab it into his throat where his voice box, where his larynx are, and basically inject bleach into there so that he can't talk or scream. And then they basically pursue to torture him in many, many different ways.
Absolutely. And there's lots of things about this movie we can talk about. I mean, I'm going to tell you that I thought it was amazingly well done, sick and twisted stuff. But at the same time, I spent the first 20 minutes of the movie going, I don't know. I mean, we got a guy who thinks he killed his father. He regresses into this, getting stoned, drinking lots of alcohol, uses heavy metal as a way out, which I really don't like that as a metal, as a person who very much enjoys metal music.
Right.
I didn't like it, being looked at, he's digressing into this metal thing. But, becoming this emo metalhead actually kind of served him pretty well as the movie progressed.
Right.
Because, as a trying to not have feelings, kind of worked out for him at certain points.
Right. This is a movie that it took me about half the movie to get into it. Because the first half of the movie, first of all, the production of the movie is interesting. It's very low budget. It was made in Australia, I believe. And it was very jumpy. I had a hard time trying to catch up to where they were at from scene to scene to scene. Once the movie really started progressing, I really started, we talk about what a little bit ago called empathetic horror. And we talked about this when we talked about the Human Centipede, where you really, you feel for the victim. And that's what the horror is every time something happens to the victim, because of empathy, you kind of feel it happening to you. And this is why my wife hates me right now, because I had her watch this with me.
Ooh.
But and so that's exactly it. Once I was watching this and I was getting into it and I was getting into the character and I was starting to feel for him, every time they did something to him, I could feel stuff happening. At one point, they nailed knives into his feet and nailed him to the ground, into the floor. And I mean, literally, I'm like rubbing my feet watching this.
And it's at first I questioned his ability to handle as much as he did, but at the same time, like I said, I went back to the whole, well, he's a metalhead, he's got to be able to, he's in this whole he has no feelings thing. So though the pain was still there, he's supposed to be this super angry guy, and he pulled it. This actor Xavier, who I guess is an up and comer, Xavier Samuel, he is actually considered to be the next Heath Ledger in Australia.
I can see it. I can see it, definitely.
Yeah.
And then there's the other part of this movie, which is you don't know what their actually intention is with him until the end of the movie. So and not only are you feeling for him and rooting for him to escape and stuff like that and try to figure things out, then there's another part of you that's kind of like watching this mystery unfold because they don't give any backstory to Lola and her father.
Well, you see it develop as you get towards the end of the movie. You actually start seeing that develop, which I thought it was a little too, you were given a lot in the last 15 minutes.
Right.
To digest about Lola, and you discover she'd been doing this for a long time, kind of thing. And has these continual obsessions. And I'm going to agree with you on the father bit, is actually you were saying that it took you about half the movie to really get into it. Part of what kept taking me out of it, though, was the whole the relationship with Lola and her father was really, riding that edge. Is riding an edge that was really getting difficult every time, because he was such a, her father was a puppy dog and basically did everything she could possibly want. And you really, there's these sexual undertones that, you know, this whole maybe he's hot for his daughter, she's kind of hot for him, or she's trying to find the perfect guy. In fact, there was a scene where they actually played this question out, where she's trying to find the perfect guy, but what she wants is somebody just like him.
Right, yeah. And that kind of took me out of it, too, because with the dad, the way that he was treating his daughter, it almost seemed, I don't know if it's the actor, the way he acted it, or if it was the just the characterisms of the dad, but he almost seemed ungenuine to his daughter, or overly genuine, should I say. It's one of them you can't really figure out if he's being real or if he's playing to the daughter because he's scared of her.
Yeah, you're given every reason to believe, though, any of those things at
right.
the same time, because
right.
you find out that the front of her mother's head, and it is her mother, and you find out the reason, you know, what's in the front of her mother's head is they had used a drill on her and poured water into her head, which apparently turns you into a zombie because it cooks your brain.
Yeah, it's like a form of lobotomizing. So as far as liking or disliking, I have to say that it took me a little bit to get into the movie. So if you're watching this, give it time. You will get into this movie. I like the movie. I like the premise. It's very tongue-in-cheek kind of for a horror movie, you know. And the only problem that I didn't like is when it came to the ending, I was kind of like, well, the ending seemed kind of cheap to me.
Really?
Yeah. And so
that's part of the reason that, like both these movies, I was insistent upon getting your opinion on. So that's part of what I was, you know, I wasn't sure if I liked the ending. I personally would say that to walk into this movie and sit down and watch this one, don't look as much for. I mean, I recommend it. I definitely recommend it. If you're a fan of Saw, if you're a fan of any of the torture empathetic movies, this is definitely one of them to step into. There is some genuinely good torture scenes in this. The main one, of course, doesn't even involve. I mean, they don't actually do anything to him. No, just the thought of it.
No, exactly.
Just the thought of it was enough. Even I cringed. But yeah, definitely, I'm gonna recommend it. But I'm also gonna, you know, understand. Everybody out there understand there are some failings to this one. You got to go in just and let it work its charm. And I think eventually you'll come out of it all right. And if you enjoy it, if you hate it, if you think we're ridiculous, please give us a call in. Let us know what you think of it. I'd love to know more. Joel, talking to you, man.
I would have to agree with you, Jeff, on the recommendation. I would recommend this movie. I would recommend it to even a general horror movie fan because every now and then you got to be shocked and get that kind of feeling. And as far as what I have to say about the movie for the recommendation, give it time. If you don't be one of these people that watches a movie for 10 minutes and if it's not good, you turn it off.
You can get a hold of us at www.creepercast.com, where you can find out everything Creepercast, including these movies we talk about, will be on the Amazon link. Facebook.com/Creepercast, where I throw up the news that I've talked about. Show notes, all that other wonderful stuff in comments, where you can even comment. And Twitter.com/Creepercast, where you can stalk every move we make, like Facebook statuses. And where else, Jason?
Well, they can give us a call at 206-984-9752 and leave a message on our Creepercast listener feedback hotline. And they can also send us an email at thecreepercast@gmail.com and let us know what they think from there.
And that would be all. Have a great Thanksgiving, everyone. Have a great Thanksgiving, Jason.
Hey, you too, man. Be safe this weekend.
I'm not going anywhere, so.
It's Black Friday.
Yeah.